Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of the Witchbooktube. And today we're going to be talking about another book on Hekate, which I'm very excited about. It's called Keeping Her Keys by Cyndi Brannen. I love the design. There's something really kind of inviting about it. It's got that yummy satin feel that books seem to be having lately. Basically, I think I just want a book covered in velvet. This is kind of my new thing now. All designers should put velvet on the covers of their books because I love how just yummy they feel. I have a lot to say. There's a lot to say. There's going to be a lot of information in this video. I did a review on another book on Hekate a few weeks ago. I never remember exactly when. It was called Evoking Hekate. I will link to that below because this is part of an ongoing process that we're going to be going into together, where we're going to dive into working with her and her energy. And that's going to really happen towards the beginning of 2020. But I've got about 11 books on her to read. And so as I go through them, I'll share them with you in a way that's kind of dispersed between all the other books that I've got on the list to read to share with all of you. I'm going to read to you really quickly Cyndi's bio. Cyndi teaches and writes from the crossroads of personal development, spirituality, and witchcraft. Founder of the Keeping Her Keys tradition of modern Hecatean witchcraft, she teaches and writes about progressive witchcraft of healing and personal power. She teaches Hecate's modern witchcraft and the Sacred Seven in the Keeping Her Keys School of Witchcraft. The #1 new release in Witchcraft and Paganism on Amazon for 2 months, Keeping Her Keys, An Introduction to Hecate's Modern Witchcraft, explores Hekate from her ancient origins to our modern understanding through magic and personal development. True Magic, Unleashing Your Inner Witch, based on the Sacred Seven Principles of Witchcraft, will be available this October. Cyndi holds an earned doctorate in applied social psychology. Her former career in health research and academia brings to her teaching and writing her expertise in evidence-based self-help programs in maternal depression, PTSD, and various childhood vulnerabilities. Her doctoral training explored personality characteristics, interpersonal relationship, and well-being. Her expertise in areas of well-being include loneliness, attachment, romantic relationships, social skills, and coping skills. Her training in cognitive behavioral technique, including mindfulness-based CBT, acceptance and commitment therapy, motivational interviewing, and other evidence-based approaches, is woven throughout the course she teaches. For the past decade, Cyndi has been teaching courses in spiritual development, mindfulness, and meditation. She's expanded her practice to include intuitive healing and distance energy work. At present, she focuses on teaching and writing about modern Hecatean witchcraft, although she can occasionally be coaxed to throw the bones if you ask her nicely. Cyndi can actually be found online in the Witches Realm, a collective led by a council of experts from diverse paths of witchery with over 6,000 members that she founded in 2018, and you can connect to them on Facebook. I'm going to link to all these things below because I actually skipped about 4 paragraphs in her bio that talk about the website and all the things that you can find there, and I will cover that towards the end of this review. I'm excited about this, and so let me just tell you what it is before I tell you why I'm excited about it. So she has created, through her devotion to Hekate, something called modern Hecatean witchcraft. And she says that it's not necessarily a tradition, although I would wager to risk saying that it can be a tradition. This isn't a tradition, and you won't be asked to join a coven or other forms of religious organization. You'll learn by reading the content, exploring different concepts and practice techniques and methods for developing in all these areas. At the end of the course, you can become a keeper of her keys through self-initiation. So, in the very beginning, she says that she will only call this a book once, that it's really, this is a course that you go through that gives you the basics of what modern Hecatean witchcraft is. And I know that I've been ranting about I don't want to do 101 books anymore, but I really think that this one is an important one simply because it introduces all of us to what is a modern, I would say it's a tradition. There are study groups online. There's a huge group of people who follow this path. And I think that for those of you who are interested in working with a deity specifically in your witchcraft, because not all witchcraft contains deity work at all, but if this is something that calls to you, this is a great way to explore a very specific and particular path that's different from all the paths that are out there. It speaks to me in a lot of ways because I am very much tuned into the path of devotion, having interactive relationships with deities and spirits, that really fuels me. It's something that speaks very deeply to my own personal spiritual path. It is not for everyone, and it's certainly not something that I cover very, very heavily in the Witches Box and all the things that we do with the Witches Box. But I felt called enough at this point in our journey together to begin bringing some of this in, because a lot of you have questions about, who do I worship? Who do I go to? Who is at the center of all this? And not everyone has that orientation, right? So it's not for everyone, and it is not required, right, to be a witch. However, if this is something that calls to you, this might be something that you want to really look into. So this is a 101 on modern Hecatean witchcraft. So it covers all of the tenets, it covers a foundational practice, it covers the basic groundwork. And when I say basic, I don't want to mislead you, because there is a lot here that requires sitting down and doing some work and some studying and some learning. She suggests that you take each lesson in this course once a month. So it's a 13 moon cycle course that you go through each section, through each lesson one at a time, doing the work that is contained in each of those lessons, so that you can really embody it, so that you can really digest it, assimilate it, and make it part of your personal practice. At the end of that, there's a whole ritual on initiating yourself into this. She doesn't call it a tradition, but it really very much feels like one. So there is that. This can be something that you work on over the course of a year. And once this is done, if you want to go deeper, or if you want to see what is also available, on her website, she has a lot of information, a lot of blog posts, really affordable e-courses that you can buy and download. I believe that, don't quote me, because I looked at this a few days ago, I think there are about 10 different e-courses or PDFs that you can buy that range between $5 and $10. Super affordable. There is, at least that I saw, 2 study groups on Facebook that I will also link down below. There is a Facebook page. There is a lot of information out there, and she is not the only one doing this work, although she, I think, is the creator or founder of it. In my digging, there is a lot of, like Jason Miller, who I keep bringing up, and I haven't posted another review on one of his books yet. However, it's coming. It has a class that you can take. So there is a lot of work being done around Hekate, and it is very exciting, and it is a really viable course. One of the things that she speaks to, and it's not a big point, it's kind of a thing that she says in passing, which I really appreciated, answers questions about how do we start modernizing and creating inclusivity in our spiritual language when we talk about things having feminine and masculine energy. This wasn't even a major point. I think that when I read it and how I read it was something that was spoken about in passing, but it really triggered something that is just, to me, beyond common sense. It wasn't even something that needed to be intuited, do a lot of work. I have often asked myself when I create Book of Shadow pages and I'm sharing correspondences for astrological signs, for planets, for all these things, right? We have correspondence tables that tell you all these different things about the energetic and characteristics of things. Often, still, we see masculine, feminine, even yin-yang, which isn't part of witchcraft at all. It's a whole other tradition that and I've used these terms, so I own that I have used these terms. We really shouldn't be using these terms because they're not really part of witchcraft traditions. It's a very specific thing to some other religion and philosophy and culture. In any case, all of these things sort of symbolize the same type of dualism, particularly tied to gender. I wish I can find where the quote is that I underlined, but it was basically a statement that said, I don't do that. I'm really just going to tell you what the energetics behind that is. And I'm like, why don't we all do that? I don't understand why. It's a very simple solution to our limited language. And I thought, yeah, of course. Why aren't we all doing this? Why aren't we all just giving name to the type of energetic as opposed to genderizing everything or polarizing everything? Again, not the point of the book at all, not necessarily even about the review, but for me it was one of those moments of like, girl, how did I not think of this already? Like, what is going on with you that you just even missed that boat? And it really speaks to how indoctrinated we are to certain ways of speaking to things. Anyway, she brings this up in the very, very beginning of the book as she is explaining what you're going to find in the book. And I want to really quickly read to you the table of contents, which outline everything as lessons. The first lesson, lesson number 1, is Modern Hekate and Witchcraft. Lesson 2 is Keeping Her Keys. She explains what the keys are and what being a keeper of the keys are. Lesson 3 is Working with Hekate. Lesson 4 is Hekate and Her Many Names. Lesson 5, Hekate's Characteristics. Lesson 6, Honoring Hekate. Lesson 7, Hekate's Wheel of the Year. Lesson 8, Hekate's Symbols. Lesson 9, Correspondences. Lesson 10, Hekate's Garden. Lesson 11, Divination. Lesson 12, Types of Sacred Space. And Lesson 13, Spellcrafting. And then it goes on to Becoming a Keeper of Her Keys, a self-initiation ritual. There's an initiation self-test, and then there are endnotes and acknowledgements and additional prayers that you can say to Hekate. As a whole, as a piece of work that has presented a new tradition for consideration and as something that's available for people to pick up and follow, if this is something that calls to you, love it. I give it a 4. In terms of the lessons and the information and how the information is delivered, I had some challenges. There are concepts that are presented that may get presented here on lesson 1, but don't actually get fully defined until maybe lesson 10. So for instance, one of them is the witch's hour of power. Intuitively, I knew what she was talking about, but there was no definition, and it's something that she referred to often until she got, and actually with that one, she never gets to a full concrete idea of what that is. But there are videos, because she also has a YouTube channel where she does define that. I linked to that below. So there are a couple of things like that where the concept is introduced by name, but the deeper definition doesn't come until later. I found that a little challenging and distracting because I had the experience where I was reading, and it's also beautifully, I think it speaks beautifully to her writing capacity, is that it wasn't so much that it was a fast read. It wasn't a fast read. I did read it all the way through. I haven't been reading this for 13 months. But the reading almost seemed to pull you along, like it flowed really easily, really well, even though I was learning new things. There are a couple of sections towards the last half of the book where you really have to apply your mind because you are overlaying Hekate's Wheel of the Year over the Wheel of the Year that we generally tend to work with. So, and it's different. You have to pay attention. And for me, it really felt helpful to write some of these things down, create my own personal map so that I can kind of conceptualize it. But even while all that was going on, because it's new information, new ways of looking at something, the writing really, I don't know, I can't even explain to you. It really pulled me through in a really great flow. It felt fast, but not that fast reading that you try to do to get it all in. It wasn't like that. It just felt like the words just did a really beautiful job of keeping me going at its pace. It was really interesting, and I really enjoyed that. So the critique was that there are some concepts that are identified or mentioned in the beginning that don't really get fully fleshed out until later. Despite the fact that the reading flowed really well, I kept feeling like, wait, did I miss where she talked about this? And I would go back, and it's like, no, I read all this, and that wasn't fleshed out there. Okay, I keep reading, and then I'm like, wait, something else would come up, and I think, did I miss that? I'm pretty sure, I've been reading all this, and I've been so enthralled with all of it. You know, sometimes you have a feeling like you've missed something because you're skimming. I wasn't skimming at all at any part, and so that was a little distracting in the process. And then because I'm just a hungry soul, I really would have loved for this book to have been like a tome, like the deep all of it. And I recognize that that's not the point of what she's doing here. It's really about an introduction. It is called An Introduction to Hekate's Modern Witchcraft. I read this over the course of 3 plane flights because I had just a wild travel week last week. And I didn't pay for Wi-Fi. I was just going to read, so I didn't need to get on the internet. And when I finished reading the book, I thought, this really leaves me wanting more. But when I landed and I was able to get a computer and I dug around for her website and her work, there's a lot. You are not left hanging. You're not left like, okay, well now what? I gotta wait for you to book. No, her website is a just treasure trove of great resource and information. And if you do a search on Working with Hekate, there's a lot out there. One of the things that she talks about is Hekate's epithets or names that speak to her different aspects. And she does not list, this is another criticism I think, she does not list all of the names that she has or epithets that she has for Hekate. She doesn't make mention of the fact that there's about 200. And I would have loved for that to have been part of the book so that we can get a fuller idea of what these names may mean and what they speak to in terms of this deity's aspects. She doesn't, but a quick search will give you that list, and I link to that below as well. I really enjoyed it. It really excited me in a lot of ways. I think that for those of you who are asking about a tradition that will also incorporate working with a deity, working with a patron deity, working with that kind of energetic, working with invocation and evocation of a deity. She talks about it in here, and devotion and what that kind of devotional relationship is like. It's great, and we will be talking about her a lot more, and I've been hunting down Jason Miller's schedule to see when I can take this class because I'm very, 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 very called to do that. I will also at some point find a way to let you all know where that is and what's going on, maybe through the newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, please do, because I will be throwing out announcements about stuff like this on the newsletter, which we send out about once a week, unless something exciting is going on and then there's an extra one thrown in there. And because this is now part of the announcements that are going on, we have a couple of things coming up. We have a witch book subscription service coming up in the next couple of months. If you're interested in getting an announcement for when that's going to launch, there's a link down below for you to sign up for the announcement. If you are interested in the upcoming Protection e-course and getting an announcement for when that launches, there's a link for that below. That's it. I would love, if you've read this, of course, I want to hear about it. If you want to know what your thoughts are. If you work with Hekate already, I'd love to know what that looks like for you, where you learn, where you are sourcing your learning information. Talk to me. I love it. Last but not least, there is going to be a logo that pops up on the screen somewhere. Please click it to subscribe if you haven't done that already. And then down below, next to that red subscribe button, there's a little bell. If you click that bell, you will get notifications every time we have a new video uploaded so that you are in the know and are participating in the conversation as it happens. See you next time. Take care.